Today I'm finally going to be ranking the 10 worst animated episodes that I've ever seen. I have covered nearly 200 animated shows on this channel, but there are 10 episodes that have clearly stood above the rest as being some of the worst forms of media I have ever seen in my entire life. If you like content just like this, please make sure to like and subscribe. I'll make it worth your while. Now let's finally take a look at the worst episodes I've ever covered. Coming in at number 10 is going to be from a show where the horse was already beaten nearly to death. The horse managed to get back up, in which he got crucified, castrated, and probably defiled by a heinous man like Jared Vogel. The show is Velma, specifically season 1 episode 5, Marching Band Sleepover. Now the reason I single this episode out amongst the others is because I just hate the hypocrisy of it all, specifically with the dumbass Velma. I don't like her character even remotely. In episode 4, she is viewed as a feministic queen, something that little girls would be like, oh my gosh, go feminism, go equality, Velma, you're such a slay queen, a slay pussy boss queen, Velma. At least that's what the writers were trying to get you to think about her. The road to get there was a little bit rocky, where she finds the top 5 hottest girls in the school, wants to make them look ugly so that it's a level playing field. It's not actually to benefit them. The girls learn about this, they come to school looking good anyway, and we get this really awkward and horrible scene where the principal's like, ooh, you guys are so beautiful, daddy likey.
So hot, daddy likey. Wait, you...
Says the 45-year-old balding man to a bunch of 15-year-old girls, and nobody calls him out on it, so I guarantee you there was somebody in the writer's room just slapping his knee aggressively, just like, did you guys like my pedophilic joke? Yeah, it's just a little bit weird, but by the end of the episode, Velma actually has a positive turn for her character, where she realizes that they can do whatever they want. They shouldn't be objectified for who they are. They can own their sexiness, just like Velma can own who she is, a girl that is smart with glasses. She shouldn't judge anybody based on the way that they look, because she wouldn't want that for herself. That's the entire point of that episode. It has a great message, and then they just throw it all away going into episode 5. Everything about episode 5 just completely tears down this idea, where the first 30 seconds of the episode are the girls who were supposed to not be objectified anymore throwing their asses onto 35-year-old police officers saying, ooh, looks like I just rear-ended a cop.
The police presence in school.
But, fun twist, it's from the police.
Uh-oh, I just rear-ended a cop.
So, yeah, that's pretty weird. That's such an odd direction after you just spent an entire episode getting me to care about these women and not want to objectify them, especially because they're literally 15, so you're gonna just be all like, oh yes, we have to make these young women want to desperately throw their asses on the adult men. This is going to put over our point that we were trying to establish perfectly. And then Velma, a character within the story who should have already realized that she doesn't want to objectify people, the second that it's inconvenient to her, she just goes against everything that she's already learned. In this episode, she really wants Norville to help her with whatever's going on with her case and finding her mom. So Norville, he's MIA, he's not answering his phone, and Velma just immediately blames Gigi, Norville's new girlfriend, and is like, that slut, oh, you just like her because she puts it out.
You've chosen Gigi, a beautiful girl who puts out, over your angry friend.
What? Why are you even saying that? We just spent 22 minutes with you being the most annoying, dumbass, bitch character in the world, just for you to take away every single aspect of that to be even more annoying. It genuinely makes me think that the writers of the show never really had a direction or a plan for where they wanted to go with Velma's character. She is clearly just a plot device. I really wish that instead of making this show about Velma and Daphne and Fred, they just would have made a brand new IP, because I wouldn't already have this established thought about the characters, and maybe I would find this a little bit more enjoyable while watching it, because I truly don't know anything about the characters. It's basically like watching a brand new show that's just called Velma, and it really doesn't make any sense, at least to me. So not only do we have to deal with Velma's character being extremely annoying, we also have one of the most shoehorned in plots that I've ever seen, relating to Daphne's parents abandoning her, and they're also mascots that live at a theme park in a crystal cove underground, and they want Daphne back just so that they could abandon her one more time. It's a really dumb and convoluted plotline that adds nothing to the overall show, but there's so much emphasis on it that the only reason I could presume that this exists is to distract people from Daphne Daphne and Velma's blossoming lesbian hot romance. I guarantee you there was somebody named Rodney just sitting in the back of the office. He was the head writer for the Daphne-Velma love plot line, and they were just telling him that we gotta wait, we gotta slow it down. He's fiending, he has a collar around his neck just going, come on, write in that Velma has an Arby's beef and cheddar underneath that skirt, and Daphne wants it, she needs to eat a meal. And he's just sweating, just perspirating everywhere, and he just can't be stopped, so that they decided to have this plot line that distracts from that. It makes Velma look like an even worse character, where she's like, oh, Daphne, I know your parents abandoned you, but you're not going through anything tough. It just makes Velma's character look even worse. And as the episode goes on, she's eventually down on her knees begging for Gigi to let her use Norville to help with the case, and Norville eventually makes the decision, I'm not simping for Gigi, I'm not simping for Velma, I'm simping for myself.
Gigi, I'm not doing this because I'm simping for Velma. I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do. I'm simping for myself.
And yeah, he actually says that, and he decides to help Velma with the case. They go outside, and they're just hiding from police officers, and the best part of this entire episode is Velma deciding that she wants to get caught by the cops, and she just runs out in front of a car and just gets railed by the car, and that was brilliant. I actually loved watching Velma get hit by a car.
So is boring. What are you gonna do about that?
There was something beautiful and satisfactory about that, because I hate her so unbelievably much. The first 4 episodes, they really try to get you to like Velma, even though she's a quirky, weird character that honestly, I wouldn't even blame society for not accepting. She just doesn't have any redeeming qualities, but they try so hard to make her seem like a good person. And then going into episode 5, they just take all of that down by making her seem controlling, anti-feminist, all for objectifying women, and just a annoying piece of shit. And that's why I absolutely despise episode 5 of Velma. I think it's one of the worst episodes in all of fiction. Coming in at number 9 is going to be from The Simpsons, and The Simpsons has some really bad episodes, like the one where Homer's all like, oh, Marge, I love you, Marge, as he drags her lifeless carcass to the driver's seat and gives her a DUI after he crashed the car. The Elon Musk one is also really bad, because the writers clearly were just like, oh, Elon, can you musk all over me? As they just began to just giving Elon the goods because they just praised him for being the god that he is. I didn't like that one either, but one that stands out is Boy's a Bummer. Now, the main reason I dislike this one so much is just for the messaging. Bart messes up in a baseball game, he does atrocious, and the entire town turns on him, just booing him, just laughing at him, throwing trash at him, and treating him like he is a literal hellspawn.
Case, he's the choke artist!
Bart starts crying, he tries to get help from a baseball guy who says that he's the worst player ever and he should have easily caught that pop fly, and Bart is truly suffering. He's eventually driven mad to where he starts writing I hate Bart Simpson everywhere all over town, climbing a water tower where all of Springfield gathers to see what he's doing, and they start telling him to jump, hoping that he falls to his death.
See? I hate me too. Now we can be friends again. No one's mad at you anymore, right?
Yeah.
Jump!
And Bart eventually does fall, and he just crashes down. He ends up in the hospital, and everybody forms a crowd outside the hospital, not in some like water boy kind of way where they're like, we need you. They were hoping that he didn't make it. They were hoping that he died. They were just there to say that he sucked. What if it was one of those situations where Bart was like, I just need some hope right now to make it, Doc. Caramba. And then he just hears I suck and then just passes away. Like, that's crazy. It's crazy writing. I don't know how it got past the storyboarding process, because I've always looked at The Simpsons as being a more light-hearted adult sitcom compared to the other ones where it's just a lot of raunchy, random comedy like Family Guy, American Dad, Rick and Morty. The Simpsons always felt like it had a good note to end on, and here, the ending is just some pity. I don't like the pity aspect. I think it's a horrible way to take Bart's character, not giving him a chance to actually redeem himself, just pure pity and making Bart look extremely stupid. And I know he's dumb, but he's not this fucking dumb. Let's be real. So they decide to replay the baseball game to give Bart a second chance, even though everybody's in on it. It's a setup, and they keep hitting pop flies, and Bart just messes up over and over and over and over again, and it's just the saddest thing I've ever seen. So not only did I watch like 15 minutes of everybody wanting Bart to kill himself, I also have to watch the most pitiful experience that I've ever seen in The Simpsons, and I just find it to be one of the worst episodes in the series, which is why it's making this list. And number 8 is going to be from a series that usually makes me go, "Ah!" But in this case, I feel like a sea urchin at the bottom of the sea, just lonely, floating adrift, and just wishing that I had more in life. And that episode is from SpongeBob SquarePants, Ink Lemonade. Now, a lot of people would probably say that A Pal for Gary should be the episode here, because a lot of people don't like the way SpongeBob acts in that episode, but Ink Lemonade is just outright disgusting, and it hurts my soul. It makes me feel like less of a child in a way, because anytime I think about SpongeBob, I think about seasons 1 through 3, which I genuinely consider to be one of the greatest cartoons ever made. All of the jokes were witty, they were intelligent, everything was timed well, and the characters all meshed well to create the perfect show. And then you have Ink Lemonade, which truly highlights the downfall of SpongeBob in every conceivable way. The episode opens with Patrick, our main man, going, "Lemonade! Lemonade!" getting us really excited for him to sell some lemonade. Squidward walks over, and he has one instance, just one, that would hint that he deserves a little bit of suffering, saying that Patrick is a gross, disgusting being and should get back under his rock. But then Patrick immediately showcases that he is, in fact, a gross, disgusting little piece of star that is the equivalent of a chocolate starfish. Nobody should want to touch this man, because he immediately is like, "Oh, you think I'm gross?" He lifts up his armpit, takes off a band-aid, puts it in the lemonade, and serves it to an unknowing fish. He takes a drink, just has that band-aid on his tongue, he sticks it out, and Patrick proceeds to put it right back underneath his armpit. It's outright disgusting. Squidward then comes out to see what the commotion is all about, because Patrick tells the guy to go and throw up in Squidward's house. So Squidward is like, "Why would you do this to me?" He walks outside, SpongeBob scares him, and Squidward inks everywhere. That is not a sentence that I like to say. I don't like to say that Squidward inked. There's something inherently wrong about that, especially because when I was a kid, Squidward was not inking. He would get terrified, but I would never have to watch him produce a black sludge, but now apparently he can do that? Okay. So Squidward produces this gross black sludge, and Patrick starts force-feeding it to people, making everybody love it, and they all want some more of that ink lemonade. So Patrick starts tormenting Squidward in horrible, atrocious ways that actually make me angry. I don't know what it is about watching Squidward suffer when he doesn't deserve it, but it just boils my blood in a way that makes me want to rip out Patrick's trachea and just laugh over his body as I dance on his grave. He starts off by ripping off his own skin and then making Squidward ink all over him and selling that yummy black liquid. He then puts a spider in Squidward's house, and Squidward just starts inking everywhere, ink all over the place, ink here, ink there.
I hate spiders!
And Patrick's just like, oh boy, black sludge, just getting super excited about it, and it's just more and more disgusting as the episode goes on. He eventually makes a horrific tent because the demand is just increasing, a tent of Squidward's worst fears, where Patrick pretends to be a incest baby. If Patrick and Squid ever got jiggy with each other, pounded each other's tentacles, they would produce that. Squidward gets very scared. Squidward sees himself in the future if he was to work at the Krusty Krab for 50 more years, and he inks all over the place. And then what just ruins it even more is the fact that there's not really a negative ending for Patrick here, where Patrick has to suffer for all the pain he's caused to Squidward. Squidward realizes that everybody is buying his yummy sludge, and just like any man would if they found out that their leavings were being sold, he starts milking himself, basically trying to get himself to produce that sludge. He ends up getting scared and just inks all over everybody. Isn't that just a weird sentence to say out loud? He inks a little here, a little there, all over everybody, and then everybody's just covered in Squidward's entrails, and they don't like it anymore. And then SpongeBob and Patrick end the episode scaring Squidward once again, never getting any repercussions for what they've done, and I feel like that's what's missing. I feel like if there was ever a case in a SpongeBob episode where SpongeBob was messing with Squidward in the past, it was usually because Squidward was a dick and at least somewhat deserved it, and if Squidward was rude, SpongeBob would match that rudeness, not always on purpose, but it would just happen. Here, it's just Squidward suffering for no apparent reason, other than the fact that he could produce a black sludge that people inherently find, oh so delicious. And that just rubs my tail feathers the wrong way. It truly is the epitome of everything I hate about SpongeBob now. Coming in at number 7 is going to be from Family Guy, and it's the episode Stewie is Incente, and in all honesty, I understand that Family Guy doesn't really need a plot or a purpose or even cohesive thought behind it, but something about this episode just disturbs me to my core, and that's the only reason it's on the list. I can't lie, the first half of it is decent, it's funny, with Stewie viewing Brian as getting a little bit distant. Oh, Brian, why don't you want me anymore? Feeling like an ex-girlfriend who is just treated like a dirty slut underneath a park bench. He really wants Brian back in his life as he watches Brian text at the dinner table drive away, and so he comes up with a plan. He takes some of his fur, gets some DNA, and impregnates himself. That's where things got a little bit wonky for me, a little bit desperate for me. I don't know. I don't really know what the writers were smoking when they were coming up with this episode to make Stewie get a nice big old pregnant belly. But the best part of the episode is when Stewie tells Brian that he is in fact pregnant, just because all of his lines of dialogue are so funny and Brian's reaction is actually really good to finding out that he is apparently impregnated a literal toddler, with Stewie being like, "You're having my baby, oh lord." Brian immediately stands up and tries to punch it, tries to murder it, and Stewie's like, this slut is having your baby, so you have to deal with it.
Apologizing for how good looking I am. I'm sick of it. I could model in Paris. We could take the baby with us. We could be that kind of family. What do you think? Ooh. Is it dead?
That was funny. And then once Stewie is actually like fully going into his trimester, it's kind of disgusting in a way, with us getting to watch Stewie eventually have his morning sickness and throw up. And there's just something about watching a toddler, regardless of if the show is a comedy or not, get pregnant that just doesn't really sit right with me. I just can't necessarily get behind it. And then even though the concept of it should be a little bit funny, I still find it inherently disgusting to watch a dog and a human baby just do a bunch of pregnant photo shoots together. Looks weird. It just looks a little bit extra. And obviously Family Guy has done some really weird plots in the past, like, I don't know, Chris jorking off his grandfather, Peter trying to marry his son. There's a lot of really heinous ones, but just something about this really grosses me out, and I can't explain it. Even if it is Family Guy and I really shouldn't care, this one just always makes my skin crawl. So they do the photo shoot, and then eventually I have to watch Stewie's water burst all over the floor, just water coming out everywhere, all over the carpet.
Take me to the hospital. Why? My water just broke. Oh my god.
And he just goes into the car with Brian, starts giving birth and screaming and moaning as they all come out, and gives birth to a bunch of little hybrid dog puppies, just like the King and the Queen of England do when they just decide to just canoodle with each other. They give some inbred hybrid weird kids that don't look right. Some of them are deaf, some of them are blind, some of them just run into walls, and it's really disturbing to see all these inbred children that should not exist, and they try to have a little bit of a love for them, but it doesn't work out, so they all just end up murdering all the babies at the end there. And I feel like it was kind of a missed opportunity to have Lois or Meg or even Peter within the episode see all of these babies. I feel like keeping it a self-contained story with Stewie and Brian ultimately made the episode just a little bit worse for me. I would have loved to see some more reactions from people other than just Stewie and Brian. And again, I just think this episode is really disgusting, at least to me. If you like this episode, I could definitely see its merit, and I could definitely see how some of the jokes could be really funny. So compared to a lot of other episodes on this list, I'm not necessarily going to blame you for liking this episode, but out of every single episode of Family Guy I've ever seen, this is the only one that genuinely makes me want to throw up, so yeah, it's going on the list. Coming in at number 6, it's going to be from Brickleberry, and it's the episode Gay Bomb. Now, anytime I talk about Brickleberry, I always love when the fans come over and they're like, you're watching this all wrong. You're supposed to get really high and turn your brain off to enjoy it, which is always a really dumb argument, and I don't know why people would openly say that. You're basically saying that you have to be really fucking stupid in order to enjoy this piece of media. It's fine to say the show isn't for you, because that's perfectly valid, but when people start saying that you have to just turn off your brain and be dumb just to become a knuckle-dragging Neanderthal, your argument's completely invalid. I love to consume media with a little bit of thought. It's why I like shows way better than this, like Smiling Friends, like South Park, like Aqua Teen Hunger Force, shows that actually put more than 2 seconds of thought into what they're writing. And this episode is a prime example of everything that I hate about Brickleberry. The episode focuses on Connie, who is just a big lesbian bewilderbeast woman who is struggling with the fact that nobody really wants to love her for who she is, which is a big lesbian woman. And you don't really get on her side in the episode because she's immediately spying on people, and then she wants you to feel bad for her about being lesbian when she forces herself onto Ethel by kissing her, and Ethel says gross because she's not into big bewilderbeast women.
Connie, no! Oh, God, gross!
And she runs away crying. And so she eventually stumbles upon this laboratory with the military, and they have a gay bomb. So she picks it up and turns everybody in a 30-mile radius into homosexuals. And you'd think that that would lead to like some interesting plot lines, but it really doesn't, because when it comes to all the guys, like Woody, Denzel, and Steve, the entire joke of their characters is literally just that they're gay now. It's not like they're doing anything unique, it's not like they're doing anything clever, it's just that they're gay and they want to have sex with each other. To me, that doesn't scream a interesting plot line. They try to one-up each other by getting each other different gifts and being excited, but the joke is literally just, oh look, these characters are like, ew, you got me a car. Oh, I want that big ravishing penis. I want it right now. And that just doesn't do a whole lot for me. That's literally just all it is. It's just 10 minutes of them being homosexuals, and that's the joke. There's nothing unique about it. There's nothing great about it. It's just that they're gay, and it's just turning the characters into something that they're not, and hoping that that's enough to get you to laugh. I personally don't find it very funny. And then you have Connie, who ends up becoming straight, and she ends up meeting her parents who disowned her because they were straight, and we get the single-handedly the worst joke that I've ever seen in any form of media ever in my entire life. I don't know how anybody would be okay with this, but the parents find out that Connie is straight, and their reaction is to take the dog that they've had since they haven't seen Connie, pick it up, and slowly strangle it to death on camera, as we get to watch the dog's life slowly fade as it takes its last breath.
Connie's around, though.
Way ahead of you. Go to sleep, Connie. Go to sleep.
And that is the entire joke. Nothing else. Just a dog dying on camera. It is genuinely one of the most fucked up things that I've seen in fiction. I have no problem with animals dying for no reason in a show. If it is funny, if it's for a comedic purpose, if it actually has substance to the episode, but there was no reason for this dog to get slaughtered in 12 brutal seconds on my screen. I'm not even like a huge animal rights activist. I'm not super into that. I don't go into that arena, but even I can tell that this show takes it too far when killing animals. It genuinely feels like that entire scene was written by a sociopath who's going to go home and stomp on a kitten's neck, because it's just outright disgusting to animate 12 seconds of a dog being strangled to death. Everything about that disturbs me. So the episode progresses on, and Connie eventually realizes that she needs to turn them back into being straight to set them right, and then the gay bomb just stops working. After 24 hours, no real climax, nothing really interesting. It's just watching 3 of the dudes be gay for 10 minutes, and then watching a dog get strangled as Connie realizes that she never wanted to be straight and she wants to fix this, and then it's fixed in the most boring way ever. It is a horrible episode that has a horrible plotline, and it is a perfect example, even me, after watching all of Brickleberry, all of Paradise P, and all of PPD, and all of Farzar, it is one of the just perfect episodes to showcase why I hate this series so much. Coming in at number 5, it's going to be Fart Baby from Sanjay and Craig, and this episode honestly just feels like a fetish. Not one person while making this episode thought, it's a little bit weird that we're drawing a young boy on a table with his ass up in the air, quivering and shaking as he's struggling to release some gas. No, a little bit odd. And I don't know about you, but as a kid, I still loved well-written forms of media. One of my favorite shows growing up was Teen Titans as well as Avatar: The Last Airbender because they were written so well. And in terms of comedy, I loved the first few seasons of SpongeBob, I loved Adventure Time, I loved Gumball, and I loved Regular Show because those had well-written jokes, well-timed comedy, and great characters. Sanjay and Craig has none of those qualities and makes episodes like this where they rely purely on ass ripping to be the main crutch of their comedy. And when it's the entire episode, it really just doesn't scream to me that you actually knew how to tell good jokes and you just thought your audience was brain-rotted toddlers. But let me tell you, kids can enjoy well-written media if you give them the chance and don't just think they're inherently stupid. It's kind of odd that people just think nowadays that, oh man, it's made for kids. That means it has to be fucking dog shit. No, you could still produce some gold. The episode opens with Sanjay and Craig just seeing who could rib the stankiest ass. Ha! And Sanjay, he just shoves a bunch of wings in his mouth, which causes him to just have a fart baby inside of him, a literal pregnancy, as he's shaking and quivering on the table and can't let it out.
Oh, I'm ready.
They don't want to let this thing out, so they decide to tape up Sanjay's ass so that it will not come out no matter what. Doesn't that sound like a thrilling plot? Gee whiz. Give me 30 more episodes, a movie, everything I could ask for. I'm gonna be bustin', because that's what somebody was doing while making this, because it's just nothing but an odd fetish, and I don't like it. As the episode continues, Sanjay and Craig go around just making a bunch of fart noises with his belly. Not very entertaining. Again, brain-rotted Cocomelon toddlers. That's pretty much who it's made for. I don't really see the main goal of this. Even as a kid, I would not find this funny. So they continue on, and eventually things start getting a little bit weird when they start doing pregnancy photo shoots with Sanjay taking off his shirt, showing off his big old pregnant belly.
Hey, big smile. Here, let's try one with the tiara. What?
And then fighting over it, naming it Tabitha. Eventually they go to the hospital, and this is really where it gets into true fetish territory, where Sanjay has his ass up in the air and it's quivering and shaking in front of the camera as he's struggling to release it.
Look at your cheeks or something, man!
I can't!
And I don't like it. I think it's unnecessary. I don't think it was needed. I think you could have accomplished the same goal without having Sanjay sit on the table like that, draw that, just zoom in on that. It's just a really weird thing to highlight, and I don't know who was directing this episode, but maybe you should check their computer. I'm just throwing that out there because it's really weird. It truly is, and I don't highlight things like this in this kind of negative light unless it truly looks weird, and it does. Eventually he releases that fart baby, it's like an atomic bomb, and that's pretty much the end of the episode. I just think it's distasteful in every way, I don't think it's comedic, and I think it just truly highlights the negative impact of the shift in the way creators and writers view kids' minds. Because as a kid, all of my friends loved the shows that had deep storytelling, great comedy, and awesome writing, and that shift to just this money-driven idea where let's just produce slop non-stop because we don't really have to care, because kids won't care. It's just going to make kids dumb. It's going to make kids not appreciate media as much. They're not going to know what's entertaining, and they're just going to sit there scrolling because they don't have anything good to actually watch, and that bothers me. And I think Sanjay and Craig is a prime example of that. Coming in at number 4, it's going to be from everybody's favorite show, Alan Gregory. It's going to be the episode One Night in Gottlieb. Now, this episode has one of the weirdest openings in fiction. I really can't imagine the writer's pitch meeting where they're sitting there just all snickering around a table like, this young boy's going to find a big overweight 65-year-old woman really attractive. I don't know why a lot of writers think that pedophilia is funny. I don't really understand the desire for it. And obviously they're trying to come up with ideas where it's Alan Gregory just thirsting over an adult woman, but that still doesn't make it okay, especially when you have scenes in the beginning where it's a young child staring at a 65-year-old woman getting out of her car and watching her panties as she bends over. It's just a little bit weird.
3, 2, 1, and there's the money shot.
and doesn't really get me just giddy with excitement for the episode to watch this young boy pursue an adult woman in a very serious, non-joking manner. It's just a little bit odd. So as the episode proceeds, he has this desire for Gottlieb, and he wants to eventually prove that they are in fact dating by saying that they have a sex tape. Okay, and he goes home, and his father agrees with this, and his father is a horrible character. We get two plots within this episode, and both of them are horrible. The father doesn't help with the situation. Alan Gregory is told to make a sex tape, and that is a bright idea, so he goes on the intercom and starts going, "Yeah, me and my girl, Gottlieb, the big woman who's in charge of the school, we got down and dirty and made a sex tape." Ooh. And he gets grabbed and gripped by Gottlieb and eventually has to talk to the counselor about it, and the counselor reveals that he is in a marriage with Gottlieb. So Alan Gregory just starts berating this man, saying that they're not in a good marriage, they don't love each other, because secretly the big woman, the big 65-year-old lady, wants to be with the young elementary school student, Alan Gregory. That's just not all that great sounding, is it? Doesn't really scream comedy to you. And then you have the other plot that's going on, again with Alan Gregory's father and the daughter, whose name is Judy. Judy wants to bring over her friends because her dad doesn't believe that she has any. She brings them over, and it's a little overweight girl and a girl that has a brace because she has scoliosis. And the dad looks at the girl with scoliosis and is immediately like, "That thing needs to come off. You need to take it off," and starts trying to forcefully take the brace off.
May I? So this connects to... Oh, I get it. Just one main screw and the rest... Okay. And you attend a regular school?
She goes to school with me. You know this.
Cumbersome.
And that's the entire comedy of it. It's just him being an asshole to people with a slight disability. Like, that's so unbelievably odd. That's a very weird thing to focus on. And as the plot continues, it just gets worse and worse and worse, where the dad hires fake actors to try to be friends with Judy, which again is really odd, and Judy falls for it until she learns that they're actors and runs away crying, and then the dad just says that she can be friends with who she wants. And that's the entire plot line. It's just really fucking stupid and adds nothing to the plot, nothing of substance to the world, and it's just odd. So Alan Gregory, he just continues on trying to get with Gottlieb and just trying to infest the counselor's mind that he had a dirty, nasty sex tape with Gottlieb, and it's really not that funny. I do like one scene where he's talking to his friend, I think his friend's name is Philip or whatever, and he's all like, "Hey, did you know that the counselor's married to Gottlieb?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course I did. I see the counselor every day ever since I found my sister's body." That was funny, but only for pure shock value, especially in a cartoon like this, where for 20 minutes all I've been hearing is, "I want Gottlieb, I want her big body all over my young body." So yeah, not my cup of tea. The episode ends with Alan Gregory just not having a sex tape and giving a speech about how he doesn't need one. Yeah, it's just a complete and utter waste of time. I really wish that writers would eventually learn that you could just age up the characters so that it feels more normal. This could have been a show about a college kid, and it would have made a lot more sense. It still would have been inherently really creepy, but I don't understand why you have to choose an elementary school student to be the one pursuing an adult woman in... I don't know, it's just weird. I hate it. Coming in at number 3 is going to be from Ren and Stimpy Adult Party Cartoon. It's going to be the episode Ren Seeks Help. Now, this is genuinely an episode just built for serial killers, people who are a little bit tormented in life, people that want to hurt animals, people that just, you know, are like, "Ooh, you're so sexy. Come back to my crib. Let's have dirty animalistic sex, and then I'm gonna cut your body open, and I'm gonna eat ya, you sexy boy." It's literally for people like that. The episode opens with Ren struggling with Stimpy in their homosexual erotic relationship because Ren just gets too violent with it when he's getting down and dirty, so Ren decides to go and try and find a therapist, a psychologist, to get some help. And we get to learn about Ren's life, and it's just all really atrocious, where he really loves dealing out pain. So, for the comedy for this, we get to watch Ren violate a caterpillar in horrible ways, ripping off every single one of its limbs, piece by piece by piece, as the caterpillar's screaming.
Whoa! Make it stop!
That's the comedy. Lovely. Then he finds a ant who is screaming, "I have children, I have a wife, please don't do this," as he explodes the ant. Then he finds a frog and he talks about how much he loved graduating to invertebrates. It is going to be thrilling to watch him put this frog up against a wall and start riding his bicycle aggressively, shooting the frog's guts everywhere.
And I am a boy like that. How I like to spin my little tires.
None of this really has any jokes to it. It's genuinely just him describing what he is doing to these animals with some horrid visuals. It is genuinely for sociopaths. I don't know how anybody could watch this with a straight face, not just in horror. If anybody was laughing at this, then you probably have some problems up there. Just throwing that out. So the episode continues on and the frog is ready for death, but Ren decides that the frog cannot die. It is more fun to leave it suffering than to finish it off. Okay, that's great stuff. So the doctor, upon hearing all of this stuff about Ren, decides that he is absolutely a freak and that he's not actually a doctor, he's just a horse. So Ren grabs a gun, the butt end of it, and just beats the horse to death and then gets taken away by psychiatric ward employees. And that is the end of the episode. Isn't that lovely? Ain't that something? Just watching animals get tortured for no apparent reason that is supposed to add a depth to Ren's character, but ultimately does nothing but just showcase how sociopathic he is and how much he needs to be locked away. I don't understand how anybody would get any value from this, especially because this is supposed to be a comedy. There has to be some reason that this exists, and I guarantee you John K. found a little bit of this funny. It's just outright disturbing. It's one of the worst episodes I've ever seen. It is just truly for the serial killers of the world. Coming in at number 2 is finally going to be from the Big Mouth universe. If you were watching this far into the video, you were probably waiting for something from Big Mouth, and it's actually not from Big Mouth itself, even though that show is a whole basket case. It's really disturbing, and it has some horrible episodes that are really pedophilic. I think a episode from Human Resources, the spin-off series, is a lot worse. It's called Birth. And I actually don't have a lot to say about the major plot here. It's kind of just all over the place. I don't really care about any of the conflicts that's going on with the characters. You just have this one main character who's like an insect lady who's supposed to be in charge of helping this lady with her hormones and her pregnancy, and she keeps failing. She's getting drunk, she's throwing up on herself, and she's struggling immensely. I don't even care to know her name. I just know that while watching this, I felt a pain deep in my soul that I never thought I would feel, that I never thought I would heal from, that I truly thought that this would be the end of my entire life upon seeing this. At the end of the episode, they did something that they never should have done, that was completely and utterly pointless, that added nothing to the episode, and made me feel like I just wanted to rot away into an existence of pure, undeniable dread. At the end of this episode, the woman that they're trying to help starts actually giving birth to the baby. She has a lot of anxiety, she has a lot of fears, but the monster, the hormone monster, whatever you want to call her, eventually nuts up and shuts up and decides to help her, motivating her to push that baby out. And I could have been perfectly fine with it. I would have been like, yeah, this episode is boring, it added nothing to my life, but overall, it was decent. Then, the animators decided that it would be a brilliant idea to just showcase in pure high definition every single frame of that baby coming out of the vag. Just full on, the vag expanding, the baby crawling its way out, the goo goo gagas that proceeded as it just funneled its way out of that tunnel. And I didn't need to see that, and maybe there's an older person than me with a young child saying, "Oh, it must have been beautiful. Oh, the miracle of childbirth. Oh, Lord." No, that's not me. This genuinely made me feel gross for the rest of the day after I first watched it. It was something that I never wanted to see, and I did not enjoy. It still makes my skin crawl thinking about it, and it makes this entire episode 20 times worse. I can't show you this on YouTube because I would get demonetized, but it is that bad. Every single frame of it is atrocious. I don't know why it was necessary, because it's not. You could have just cut away and then she's holding the baby, but they willingly chose, for no reason other than pure shock value, to have that child come out on the screen. It's so weird. Why would you want to draw this? Why would you want to put this out into the world? It is so unnecessary, it's so disgusting, and it ruins the episode in every way. I hate it. I hate that I had to watch that baby get born, that fetus to crawl out of there. I did not want that in my life. Coming in at number 1, it's going to be the episode Total Eclipse of Fart from Total Dramarama. And in all honesty, this is the worst episode of any show I've ever seen. You cannot tell me that they didn't mean it in this way. It is for pedophiles, it is for people with a abhorrent fetish, and there is no arguing that. In this episode, there is a character named Lashana who decides to try and catch the Tooth Fairy after losing a tooth. She succeeds, except it's not the Tooth Fairy. It's the Fart Fairy, a fairy that sneaks up behind people and sensually sucks in their farts. And what is most weird about this is that all of the characters in the show are 4 years old, and this fairy is clearly a grown man who will go behind them and go, "Oh yeah." Yeah, it's really wrong. It happens like 8 times in the episode, and it is completely and utterly disgusting. It is a weird pedophilic fetish that I am just not going to even try to defend in any conceivable way, because how do you even pitch this? How does this get past a screen test? How does this get past a storyboard? How do you genuinely be talking in a writer's room and be like, you know what kids find funny? Farts. But even more than that, you know what they find funny? They find it really funny when you sneak up behind your pal and just get a good mean stinky one. Did that ever happen to you? Were you ever sitting in class and your friend would be like, dude, watch this. I could tell one's about to rip after Stan after there, and sprint up behind him and just start inhaling? No, that never happened. And if that did ever happen to you, you're very weird for condoning it. And if you were the person going through it, you need some help, because that's outright disgusting. It happens so many times where the fairy will be behind a character like Duncan, inhale it. There's a scene where the character Beth is jump roping and releasing that stank over and over again, and he's just inhaling it. It makes me so disgusted to even think about it, and one of the items on this list is literally a hand-drawn image of a woman giving birth out of her vagina, and this is still worse, because I just can't help but to think that the creators, the animators while watching this, liked it. Because if you didn't like it, how could you sit there and be like, I can still draw this, I can get through it? Why wouldn't you speak up? Why wouldn't you say something? And the episode eventually gets to the point where the Fart Fairy, he doesn't suck up enough farts, and so he's sitting there lying on the ground dying, and all the kids, they have to release some mega stink in order to stop it. We have the character Beth, who literally shits herself on camera, which is disgusting.
Fine. I got this. Did you just...
And then Lashana has to release a huge Mondo tidal wave of a ass ripping for him to inhale to start feeling better, because he needs it essentially, he likes it, and it's just so unbelievably disturbing. I don't think anything could ever top this episode in being so disgusting, because although there's gore, although there's a lot of weird undertones in other shows, this just genuinely feels like somebody who needs to be locked up made this. I can't preface enough to search whoever directed this episode's computer, because there's no way somebody watched this and didn't have the slightest inkling that something was wrong. It is common fucking sense to not draw young children getting their farts sucked up by a grown man in a sensual manner. You could have fixed this episode so easily by having the Fart Fairy hate his job. That would have been an impeccable design. It honestly would have been pretty funny. He's just like, oh, here we go again. And he's just suffering the entire time. But you consciously decided to make him love it and draw him loving it with preschoolers. And I will never forgive them for creating this slop. It is the worst thing I have ever covered on this channel.